Buenos Dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it? You already know. Like a motherfucking smack addict. Bye. In a minuto start in direct fashion, we're going to get straight into the content of the day. But before we do, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man, for reals. Have you ever had an ex or a first love, man? And, you know, you guys lose contact and next thing you know, she pops up 30 years later with a crazy story and you don't believe her. Then you do your research and you realize, hey, fuck, she was telling the truth, right? So here's the story, man. Let me tell you guys something. I know you guys see the thumbnail and you're saying, how does this pertain to a Norteno Mongols incident? But it definitely does, man. And here's the true situation, right? So I remember when I was a little kid, this is pre me going to the youth authority, right? I was a badass little kid, man. I was already making bad choices and doing stupid shit and running away from home and just not listening to my mom, not paying attention. Just in school, I was bad, man. It was to the point where none of the teachers liked me. You know, the principals didn't care for me. And when you get to that point, you know, especially in the early 90s, it was a lost cause. You were a lost cause. You know, nobody wanted to fuck with you anymore. I was burning all my bridges. Now, in the streets with the homies, I was good. I was A1 from day one. I was well respected. But I mean, how much respect can I get? I was still a little kid, right? But where it counted in school and to these adults and none of them fucked with me. They all wanted me. They just lock his ass up in juvenile hall, right? And I remember I got my last opportunity at this place called Opportunity School, which was like an alternative school for fuck-ups. All the bad kids from all the schools in the town, that's where they went. And it was like going to Pelican Bay as a kid. That was the spot. If you were in the streets, you were a gangster, you were living that life, that's where you wanted to end up. That was like on your bucket list. You know, you could check that off. Hey, homie, I'm in Opportunity School. You were that one. So, of course, I achieved that level. So I make it to Opportunity School and there's older kids. I remember I was so young. I was the youngest one there. I got kicked out of fucking middle school while the rest of these kids are in high school and some of them in middle school. Yeah, I was the little runt running around and I didn't give a fuck, right? So anyways, the first day of school, first day, man, I meet my first love, right? You know, they would bring kids from Atwater, Winton, you know, the county, Los Baños, Dos Palos, all that. They would bring them to this school. You know, like I said, it was a school for fuck-ups. How you got there, everyone had a different story, but you got there, right? So I remember my first day, man, I was going to get picked up by this little white van. It wasn't an actual school bus. It was a little white van. And when I got in that motherfucker, my eyes were like, oh, God. It was the realest I ever seen. It was instant, like an instant shock, right? I seen this girl and I was like, wow, I had never seen her. She was probably a couple years older than me, but I was hooked. I was like, damn. So I got in that motherfucker like, bye, chest all out like a peacock. I was trying to be that one, right? So little did I know this was her first day of school as well. And I was the first one that gave her any attention. And now that's a word to the wise I give you, man. Sometimes you see a pretty girl, and a lot of these pretty girls, you feel like they're unapproachable, or they feel like they're unapproachable. There's a lot of guys that are like, nah, she won't fuck with me, right? You never know, homie. I seen some mud duck motherfuckers with some bad ones, right? Take your chance, homie. Roll them dice. You never know when you're going to get that fucking hard four, right? So I definitely started popping out of like, hey, how you doing? We're little kids. And that was it. From that point on, we were inseparable, right? We were together. We were all in love. So I end up catching my case and going to the youth authority. And we lose contact. And I remember she knew who my mother was. She did get in contact a couple times with my mother. And, you know, I thought, hey, man, you know, it's over. All my friends, all my family, everyone that I was with, I kind of forgot about them. You know, I put them in the back of my mind because now I had a whole lot on my plate, a whole lot in front of me. You know, now I'm going to the youth authority. Ultimately went to Fred C. Nellis down south, man, Norteno business. You know, I'm gang banging. I didn't have time to worry about some chick I met at a fucking opportunity class, an alternative school, right? I know it's fucked up, but that's just the way it is. That's the situation. You know, that's truth. So anyways, I'm doing my thing. I'm programming. And out of sight, out of mind. Well, years later, and I mean several years later, right? This chick somehow finds me on like Facebook or whatever it was, right? And I hadn't thought about it for years, you know, and at this time I had a chick. I was living in Levos, man, Livingston, right? And I had my kids and I had a chick, man, I'd been with for about a year. And, you know, I'm just trying to live my life. And she reaches out to me on, I think it was Facebook, right? This is before Instagram was popping and all this shit. She might have fucking reached out to me on Mongol Space. I don't know, I forget, right? But she does reach out to me and she's like, hey, it's been a long time. You remember me? And come on now, man, I don't know about you, but you can't forget the first chick you was ever in love with, right? So Sas, man, I remember. So I'm like, damn, what's up, girl? Damn, it's been a long time. And I'm not really tripping like that, but I ain't gonna lie. I've always, you know, I never got a chance to really go, you know what I mean? We were little, so I never got a chance to do my thing. So now we're older, we're consenting adults. What it do? So what's happening? Right? So, menudo. So we start to talk and we pick up from where we left off when we were kids. We're reminiscing. Hey, remember this and you remember that? And it's innocent, right? It's innocent. So I start getting, you know, hey, what's up? You got an old man or, you know, where you at? What are you doing in life? And she's like, it's on and off. It's complicated, whatever. All right, cool. You know, and then she's asking me, you know, what's up with you? And I said, you know, I can make it complicated, right? You know, I was a dog like a motherfucker, only I wasn't from Fresno, right? So we're just chilling. And one day she calls me and she's like crying. And I remember I'm busy that day. And I have my chicks all in my earlobe. And, you know, I got shit to do with my kids. And I'm like, hey, you're going to have to hit me back later. You know, she wasn't a priority. But I wanted to be her friend. I wanted a taste. You know what I'm saying? I wanted a little taste, but, you know, in my time, not your time, bitch. Right? So that's just how it was. Pensa. You know, I'm not just trying to be an asshole. I'm just telling the truth here. And she's like, I need your help. I need your help. And I'm like, hey, let me get at you. I hung up, whatever, right? So I call her back. She's like, man, I've been waiting right here by the phone. I need your help. So she proceeds to go into this story, right? And this is that story, right? This is truth. This is how I was closely almost associated to this case, man. Thank God I wasn't, right? So when we met, you know, I never really got into her past and her family history. I knew she had one brother, and her brother was actually from my neighborhood. He's from Mavaru, man. He just got out, man, from doing like 40 years, right? Not from doing 40 years. They sentenced him to 40. You know, he did less. But I was tripping when I found out they were brother and sister, right? Couldn't believe it. I was like, damn, man, you know, I used to be with your sister. Yeah, she told me, right? And that was that. You know, I knew them from two whole totally different things. Anyways, I never knew she had two twin brothers. You know, like I said, I never gave them. I'm not trying to fuck them. I don't care, right? So I never really got into her past. It was like a school thing. She'd go to school, you know, I never went to her home, never knew her parents were, never knew what she'd been through, didn't care. You know, I was just like, as soon as she got to school, I'd be right there by the bus, like, come on, we're kicking it. Puppy love bullshit. So anyway, she calls me, she tells me, hey, my brothers got caught up. They're out here in New Mexico, right? And so I'm like, your brothers, which brothers? And she says, I have twin brothers, Armando and Mando Lopez. And they're from Los Baños. And I slightly remember telling me that's where she had moved from, Los Baños. And then she moved to Atwater, and then she would go from Atwater to this opportunity school. And I was like, oh shit, I never knew you had brothers. She goes, yeah, fuck all that. Yeah, they're getting caught up, you know, or they were on the run at that time. And I was like, what happened? So what had happened was, I guess, in the city of Los Baños, I can't tell you the exact year, but the Mongols motorcycle club popped up, right? And prior to that point, man, you know, the Central Valley where I live, Merced, that county, it had kind of been like a Hells Angels territory. Meaning there was always, you know, I was used to seeing Hells Angels in the mix, you know, motorcycle clubs like the Bar Hoppers, and there was other motorcycle clubs. You know, I used to go to this bar in Merced. It was right off 16th on the corner called the R Bar. There was a lot of Bar Hoppers. I'd go there, sometimes some Hells Angels. And it was all love. It was always respect, man. We never had no beef with these cats. Never, never, never. And there'd be several Nortenos and several bikers, man. And it was all like, can we be friends? We'd all be faded and drunk. And this is pre, you know, really a lot of people talking about the bikers and stuff like that. They were out there. So anyways, I guess the Mongols had started a chapter in Los Baños or that area. And I remember distinctly hearing about it, but not really tripping because, like I said, the biker world wasn't my world. You know, I respected it, showed them love when I seen them, you know, but I didn't live that lifestyle. Like I said, it's a whole different lifestyle. from being a biker member to being like a Norteno or a Sureño. You know, nowadays it kind of blends, sometimes it blurs. Nowadays, you got a lot of vatos that were Sureños or Norteños that actually are in clubs, or they let, their gang go and they jumped into the clubs or, got involved. But back in them days, what that I recall, it was there was differences. The biker world was much different. They had their pedo with each other. They did what they did with each other, but there was never really no funk or static, at least not in Northern California or in my area, right? So I guess what had happened was she tells me that her brothers, man, are, on the run for a murder, for a double murder. I guess there's a club out there in Los Baños called Club Azul, right? And they went to this club, man. There happened to be a couple members of the Mongols. Now, up until this point, I don't know if the Mongols and the Norteños were beefing, or if it was just a personal thing that happened that night. Something that popped up and went bad. Usually you can go to a bar or club, man. You have some words, and the homies are gonna get off. Or, whoever's going to get off. Not just the Northerners. Anyone will get off, right? If you have fucking problems, you have problems. Whatever the situation is, I don't know the exact details, but there was an incident that happened. And two brothers, two guys, Mongols, actually got into it with several Northerners that night. And it was recorded on video footage. They were killed. They were killed, man. They actually lost their lives. Unfortunate event, especially when it's raza killing a raza, which was this is what this was, man. They were two Mongols that were Mexicans or Chicanos, and somewhere in this situation, they lost their life. Now, immediately, man, they started doing their investigation and they started arresting vatos. They arrested one of the Northerners in San Jose. He was on the run. They arrested a couple more, but they couldn't quite find Armando and Mondo Lopez, right? The brothers, the twins, identical twins. And that's because they was out there in New Mexico wiggling, right? So meanwhile, she's on the phone with me. She's like, hey, I need your help. And I haven't really seen this chick in fucking 20 something years, 30 years, maybe more, right? And I'm like, well, what can I do for you? At this time, my life is hectic. I can't really do nothing for her. I couldn't send her a food stamp and she needed it. I needed it. Shit, I was trying to work her out of something. She was like, I need you to, to send me some money, help take care of my brothers and this and that. And I was like, look, I'm going to be totally honest with you, shit, I don't know this situation to be true. Up until that point, I didn't know. She could have been bullshitting, coming up with this big old elaborate story. And I was like, man, you're involved in bikers. And we don't play about them bikers. Them bikers fuck around and blow your whole house up, right? And she was all scared. She was like, look, my brothers, people are tripping on them. They're running from the law, whatever, right? Ultimately, I tell her, you know what? Hey, I hate to do you like this, but I'm going to need some more evidence. That's all right. I'm going to need to find out exactly what's going on. And so I start to look into it and I find out, damn, this chick is telling the truth. Now, of course, I'm not going to become involved and I don't want to lead anyone to their path. They're on their own. Like I said, I don't know if they were with their sister, but they were just in that area and she was like, just help, and I was like, and I felt bad because there was really nothing I could do. And I just didn't want to become involved in a situation that didn't involve me, right? Especially when it comes to like bikers, Mongols and shit. I don't want no static with them. It's not my business. I don't believe this was a North-South or a North Mongol thing like they were gangbanging. I believe this was more personal. Like I said, it was just an incident that took place. Anyway, so bam. That was that, right? I'm like, nah, man, I can't do nothing for you, man. Tell your brother to cure though. Boom, gone, right? I know you think I'm an asshole, but hey, if the world was about helping every single person, well, then I'd be broke, right? So I can't do that. I could show you some love, man, and respect and thank you. But at the end of the day, man, all I got out of this situation was a good conversation and a hickey a long time ago. I'm cool. So now she's, whatever, right? She understands. And they end up ultimately snatching her brothers up, man. And they bring them back. And of course, they're fighting this case. Now, this case was a pretty big case in the area because, it was seen on camera. And I thought, man, hey, this for sure is going to get, the Mongol Motorcycle Club in the mix with Norteños. So this is what happens, man. That situation, guys get convicted. They get a lot of time. Ultimately they get found, get locked up for fucking first degree murder. And they catch their time in prison and whatever. They're gone. Situation kind of dies down. Now, I don't know if there was war going back and forth because I'm sure the Mongols weren't going to take that. They're not going to just bury two of their brothers, man, and not come back. So whatever shit was going on in Los Baños, you got to understand, it's a little distance from Merced County, but it ain't in Merced. That was their shit. We had nothing to do with that. So I get locked up in the county jail, man. You know, I get locked up in the county jail. Me and my primo, we actually pull up to this mechanic shop, man. And there's a vato there that used to kick it with Southsiders, man. My primo approaches them, gets to swinging on them, man. We handle our business. And we get locked up. We get pulled over. They ask us if we were involved in the assault. Nope, doesn't matter. You're locked up, puto, right? So they got us. We're in the county jail. We're in the holding cell, man. And there's this big cat there. And he's all tatted down, right? And I ain't gonna lie, man. He looked like he was from LA or something, right? And I was telling my primo, like, hey, we about to get off right now. I'm gonna ask this guy where he's from, you know? Why would he be in the holding tank with us, though? You know, I'm kind of tripping. But sometimes in Merced County is so small, they'll just throw whoever in there, and then later on, they'll figure out who you are and separate you. But I was pretty well known in that county jail by all the cops. They knew who the fuck I was, so they wouldn't put me in this situation, or would they, right? So I sit down, and I kind of like, I'm trying to get my shit together. It's a big dude, right? So I'm like, hey, homie, where you from? He's like, Mongol Nation, whoop-de-whoop. He says where he's from, Los Baños, right? And I was like, yeah, dead end, Norte, right? And he was like, all right, homie. And I was like, hey, you know, we get to conversating. He's cool. We're eating our little sack lunch they give us, and we're chopping it up. And then I started asking him about the incident. And, you know, he tells me, yeah, man, you know, that was fucked up. You know, the way it went down, and two of our brothers lost their lives there at that bar, man. And I always thought, and I go, well, what's the mix with Norteños? You know, do you guys have some type of beef with Norteños? He said, absolutely not, bro. We don't even trip off you guys. That was just something that happened. Now, I've always wondered and tripped out on this. I know personally that there's a lot of Sureños or a lot of Southsiders that are involved down south in Southern California with the Mongols, right? As far as, you know, being a Mongol, being a part of that, you know, function with them behind the walls in prison, whatever. You know, I know they had their beefs back in the days, but I know that they're now fucking cool. Or as far as, you know, they do their business, do whatever they got to do. It's their shit. You know, I personally always thought maybe the Mongols had beef with Norteños just based off of that. You know, sometimes the people you hang out with, their shit becomes your shit. Sometimes their bullshit, even though you're not really tripping, but it becomes, because you have an alliance or some type of, you know, understanding, it becomes your bullshit. So I figured that was the situation. I figured the Norteños that did their thing in Los Baños, it was more so because they figured, hey, these Mongols are moving into our town. They're trying to take over. Because that's one thing about motorcycle clubs I noticed. Once they set up a chapter, Holmes, they show their colors. They're definitely about their colors, showing their colors and letting people know and making their presence felt. That's a fact. And that's cool. That's cool. You know, that's what you're supposed to do. When you're part of any gang or any club or any organization, you want people to know your presence. You want to instill fear and gain respect. You know, you don't necessarily want to fuck up the neighborhood and do bad. You don't want to bring a negative attention, unwanted attention. But at the same time, homies, you want everyone in that area to know, hey, the flag is there, homie. We're here if you need us, or we're here if you want some. Come get some. That's how it is. Every gang does it that way. So I don't think that the motorcycle clubs weren't. And I guess what the beef was, from what this guy told me, his part was that the Mongols were getting cool. They were doing their thing. They were getting drunk, man. These little young Northerners came in there, man, with an attitude, tried to push up on them, got to disrespecting. They went outside to handle a fight, man, and shots rang out. You know, again, this shit was actually recorded on video camera, or not video camera, but, you know, video surveillance. So that's ultimately how they end up catching all these cats. Of course, people said shit, and, you know, it's a small little town. Hey, man, did you hear about the Mongols getting killed? You know, and it was unfortunate and bullshit, man. The Mongols still have a heavy presence in Los Baños, as well as the Norteños. I don't know how the mix is now, man. I'm not telling the story to reinvigorate or re-fucking generate some bullshit. I'm just telling the story of what went down. That was the only incident in my life that I ever heard where Mongols and Norteños actually went at it. Now, I do have a story about the Mongols going at it with the Southsiders in Atwater. And that's a whole different situation, right? That happened at a house party or whatever. But as far as the Norteños and the Mongols, you know, there never was that static or that beef, man. Now, I understand I got a lot of homeboys, and at the end of the day, you know, we used to talk about the bikers and you know, because they were trying to establish in Merced. They're trying to establish everywhere. And we used to say, hey, homies, like, you know, are these vatos just going to come in and take over and whatever? And the homies were like, there was a lot of young homies that were like, hey, ain't the Mongols Sureños, man? And they're from down south. And I used to be like, nah. It's not like that, bro. They have a little bit of everyone involved in their club, you know, whoever they embrace. And I believe that once they join that club, you know, it's club over everything. But I could be wrong. You know, I don't know. Anyways, that's the story of the twins, man, and how I almost got involved in that shit. You know, I could have been like, yeah, I got you. And again, people are like, damn, fool, you should have helped the homie. What am I going to do? What was I supposed to do? I was broke as fuck. You know, what was I supposed to do? Send him a bus ticket to come back? Shit, go farther. I said, go to fucking Mexico. You know, I sent her what little bit of bread I had. Like Jesus said, I broke it, but I didn't have too much. And ultimately, you know, we did talk later on down the line. She got back a hold of me and she was like, yeah, I understand, you know. And I said, hey, girl, I was in a position, I was playing the pole position game. I was in a position where there was really nothing I can do. Sometimes when you get caught up in a mix and you do the dirt, man, you got to handle your business. It's not that I didn't want to fuck you or nothing, because I still do, but you know what it is. Anyways, with that being said, that's the twin brothers Mongol incident happened in Los Baños. And it's crazy, you know. You know, to see something like that happen between the raza is unfortunate, but it does, man. You know, you never know when your life could change. You know, Armando and Mondo, from what I hear from the chick, you know, that's her brothers, she said they were real good dudes. You know, one of them was really heavy into the gang politics and all that shit. He was trying to be in the mix. The other one was nothing like that, you know, but he had a lot of love for his brother. And you know how it is with twins, man. You know, if one rocks, both rock. Anyways, with that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. I hope that you get everything that you want. And remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the strive to struggle, the struggle to strive. And I'm going to continue to do what I does, man, and give you the best possible content, truthfully, that I really can, man. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to do me, man. And I appreciate each and every person that's showing me support. Thank you guys so much. You don't know how much it's appreciated. The gun. Bang, bang.